So last week we didn't get canceled. For sure this week we're getting canceled. All right. So welcome back this week to Slade with Flowers. I don't even know what to start with this first block. So we'll just dig in. For those of you who know, there's a trend going on right now in terms of individuals who call themselves relationship gurus. These are individuals who pretty much go on about how wonderful they are and how women should essentially be looking for the perfect man, which in some ways end up just dumping on other men. So we're talking specifically about an individual by the name of Derrick Jaxn. And if you look at the way that he spells his last name, Jaxn, you can tell that there is a high douche factor that starts right there. So to just essentially cap it off, this individual essentially came out with his wife on camera, who looked like she was being held hostage. I was waiting for a proof of life, actually, and essentially started talking in third person, which is, narcissist 101, if you ask me. So we wanted to dig in a bit in terms of this situation because, in our group that we have our pre-production meetings, we couldn't stop talking about it. So, going to start off with you, Shalise.
All right.
In terms of, outside of Derrick Jaxn, you could talk about Derrick Jaxn. Do you or any of your friends follow these relationship gurus? And, where do you think, do you think that those particular relationship gurus are helpful or detrimental? And I'm going to use specifically to Black women. But where do you stand on that?
Yeah, no. I myself don't subscribe to that. I don't have any friends who subscribe to them. And it's a slippery slope because it's like they're offering so-called help to women. And I'm just wary right off the bat of any man or woman, for that matter, that's, offering so-called help, and it's all very one-sided. You know what I mean? It's like, no. First of all, how you know so much? Like, what are you doing? Like, right off the bat, I'm like, okay.
All right.
So no, I'm not about it. And, like Steve Harvey, for example, with that book he wrote, Think Like a Man.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then a movie came out.
Exactly.
After. Yeah.
It's more detrimental, right? Like women are now, I'm going to use women because that's what I am, but women are trying to follow these so-called rules that they're putting out, thinking like, all right, this is going to help catch me a man. This is how I'm going to get married.
This.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit. Can I swear?
Yes, you absolutely can.
All right.
We've marked this as explicit on all of our podcasts. So.
Right. It's bullshit because no two relationships are the same. No two paths are the same. So offering this piece of advice, like, you get into a relationship, you should wait 3 months before you guys decide to do the thing.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? No. You go with the vibe. Whatever is right for you is right for you. I just think it's more of a detriment, particularly for Black women, right? There's a lot of them saying, you have to look a certain way. I won't even bring in Kevin Samuels right now into this, but we'll save that for another show. You should look a certain way and this and the other. And no, be yourself. Like, why do you have to look a certain way in order to catch a man? Yes, we know men are... They are attracted by physical things, right? They like to see what you look like and whatnot. But it just brings me to a whole, and we'll probably get into this later, the whole situation with his wife and just how she looked in that whole topic. And I'll save that for a little bit later.
So who's listening to him? Like, because he's got a lot, like, thinking hundreds of thousands of followers. Like,
yeah.
Who's his audience?
I'll weigh in a bit about it.
Yeah.
I completely co-sign everything you're saying, Shalise. We have to pay homage to the fact that Steve Harvey's probably a lot to blame for this. Because yes, we laugh now at Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady. I bought the book. I read the book.
What?
At that time in my life, I wanted to know what he was saying. It actually made sense. The 3 Ps. Some of it made sense.
What are the
at
3
the
Ps?
Provide, protect, and proclaim, like possess. Like he said, if a man was really into you,
Yeah.
he would protect, he'd want to announce to the world that
Okay.
he'd want to claim you. Like
Okay.
you're not just his friend, you're his girl. He titles you.
Yeah.
And if he's not able to provide for you, then he's always going to have his mind on other things like building himself. Like he gave
Yeah.
a whole bunch of things, but let's be honest, I was probably 30. I'm looking at a different life at a different lens at that point. I'm looking at why am I 30 and I'm not with somebody.
Yeah.
At 47, I know exactly why.
That
and I
doesn't
know
sound cra-
that I wouldn't buy his book now. But
So you're saying
30-year-old me,
You still don't want those things?
Yeah, because that doesn't sound bananas to me.
I think it's not about the desires. We know what we want. It's how he explains why we're not getting it. I think that's the crux of it. We're going externally to find the answers.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at why am I picking people like that?
That's it.
Why am I not looking at do I attract narcissists, for example?
Yeah.
Things like that. And so he started it, but if we look at ourselves collectively, like for me in my journey, mental health, I put too much money into my mental health to listen to advice from somebody who doesn't have appropriate letters and initials next to their name. So if we're validating him, it's because he's filling a gap, right? He's giving an answer that people are looking to hear.
So it's
Yeah.
like confirmation bias. He's like
Yes.
the huckster, and it's like,
Yes.
this is what I'm looking for. So he's just
Right,
serving it up.
but
Yeah.
to who's seeking him out though is people that are looking. It's
That's
women
it.
who are not
That
they're
desire for
dissatisfied.
that.
They're
Yes.
not
They're not
happy
happy.
because they were sold
Right.
a bag of goods and they've done everything
Yep.
they thought they were supposed to do
And that's what I feel uncomfortable about. Like I really like he's tricking vulnerable women. It seems
it.
like
Right.
like I think he's targeting like, and I'm not like he's targeting like some single mothers, and he's targeting
Maybe low
ladies who've been in
self-esteem women.
Exactly.
Right.
And that just like that makes it not
Capitalizing off of it,
everything
and it's not
around
right.
it. Like you can tell the guy's been doing this for a long
Oh, yeah.
time. He's an obvious, he's pulling a fast one on everybody. But there's got to be women who are still gonna listen to him, and it's just
Yeah, and I think there's this element to where you're not creating a situation where you're providing a space for a woman to take shared accountability in terms of what she has to then do, right? It's like the man is crap, you're valuable, you're special, go find that man that you deserve. And then it ends up they're looking for a unicorn. Right?
That's
and
it.
then they're like, well, I value myself, so I deserve the best. And it's like, well, what are you doing to work
Yeah.
on yourself to be able to get that, right?
It's too
So-
one-sided.
Right.
It's too weighed heavily on that
But-
side.
unpopular opinion. Isn't that what church told us to? Go to church.
don't-
Go to church. Be a good girl. Keep your legs closed. You'll have a husband.
And
I
what's
have
funny-
relatives who are unmarried to this
Yeah.
day, did everything as they were supposed to. So, it comes
So you're
down
saying
to
that's
who
the
we put
ethos.
value, right? We gave
Exactly.
pastors value into telling us if we were valuable or now. So it's not, we gave Steve Harvey, a comedian.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
validated
Where's his
him and
credibility?
said, yes, you're right, Steve, 3 wives in. And we gave him the money and we validated him because, it started with those letters.
Yeah.
Writing him like Dear Abby.
Yeah.
That wasn't, that didn't make him a therapist.
Yeah.
That didn't make him qualified to say anything. But
Yeah.
if he wrote something and people are going to want to buy it, how's he different than the pastor that,
No
is
difference.
trying to influence as well?
So, Khadisha, you reached out to me the other day with a question because you were perplexed by the fact that there are actually women out there who said that they preferred to be a side piece, or they feel that it's actually more beneficial to be a side piece than have their own man. So I want to ask you, with that being said, and I don't have that. Well, I have the answer for you, which you didn't prove up. But anyway,
You
With
could
that-
say your answer.
no,
Because my approval doesn't matter, and it helps to restate it.
no, not in this public forum. So,
doesn't want to get canceled.
I'm going to dig into that. Oh, I will get canceled if that was the case. So, what would you account to why because I mean, conventional wisdom would dictate that this guy's come out now and has exposed himself for the fraud that he is. Why do you think that there is now a hockey stick and his popularity has actually risen? He's selling more books. People are subscribing more to him. Like, what is that?
For the same reason that a guy in his mugshot with really pretty eyes got a huge following while in his prison mugshot. It wasn't even like jail, for drunken disorderly. Dude was in like penitentiary gear. Remember that guy with the...
I remember he got a modeling contract.
So-
Jeremy something. But
the fact that you even know his name.
but though, I think that was more on the looks thing. And we can go on a whole couple different...
But it's the
Chris
same type
Brown
of thing
conversations.
with
It's the
like
same.
Derrick Jaxn.
So you think it's the looks, even
Before he was, people weren't even listening to what he was saying. They were more captivated by, the man is like 6 foot something. He is built solid. He's a sexy man, and he purposely wears tight shirts to accentuate his body and things like that. So right off rip, people were attracted to him for that reason. So he was getting followers based on that. And then again, a guy that's all dreamy, saying all these things you want to hear. It's like, oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Now
there
you've
you
got
go.
Steve Harvey with a better package. No, but it's true because dude was never attractive, right?
Right.
So
Because I will tell you, I did not know of this individual until
Before
this
this.
thing blew up.
No,
I didn't.
I knew about
no,
it.
you introduced me to Derrick Jaxn. Actually.
No,
yes, you
that's-
did. You
no,
sent me a video.
no,
You sent me a
I'm
video.
telling
Yeah, I'm
you.
telling you, you sent me a video
All right,
at least
all
a
right.
year ago.
So I knew about him, but I always I saw the videos. I saw him sitting in the car. I saw him, doing his thing, talking to ladies about, how bad men are basically, and it just seemed like, I don't know, like the spidey senses were tingling. Like this is something's wrong here about this guy. Like,
But I don't know that he started that way. And to in your defense, you probably sent it in his early days because he wouldn't have come out swinging at the gate saying men are trash and women are. We'd be suspicious. So he had to
I didn't know
lull
the
us.
context I would have sent that to you. To which context? But anyway, that's neither here nor
See,
there.
I
Oh my God.
didn't think
crazy.
that, so Shalise brings up a good point that I didn't even think of about how good looking he is. That's how he got it. I thought he got his followers by telling women what they want to hear. This is why men are bad. This is, not your, somebody said, I don't know who, but not your fault that your relationships don't go. Like, that's how I thought he got his followers, just by literally telling people. Like, it's,
Because
the
if that
oldest
same-
trick in the book.
If that same message was coming from a guy that was not attractive,
Flavor Flav.
he would not exactly. He would not have had that same following, that
Good
same
point.
reaction. No.
Good
So women are kind of saying, okay,
point.
well, I'm listening to him. That's the type of man I want, and
Yeah.
that's what he's saying.
Yep.
So
Oh yes.
they're then manifesting that.
Oh,
That's
there's
a good
projection
point.
happening.
Ah,
There's definitely
okay.
projection
For sure.
happening.
Well, I mean, we see that, with Chris Brown, like what happened
oh,
with
yeah.
Chris Brown. Like, I could not believe after the Rihanna incident, the amount of comments saying, well, he could beat me anytime if he can,
That's it.
if he has sex with me. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Literally.
Okay.
Yep.
So, to that point, I was on Clubhouse because I had to do research. I had to do research for this because
yeah.
that was the only forum to where I can do research. And conversations were happening to where people were literally coming on and saying, oh, well, listen to this email that I got from somebody. Listen to this text message that I got from somebody that in university, he used to not only cheat on his girlfriend, but he used to beat girls. Jay, what I would ask you is then, in the court of public opinion, like where do we draw the line to where it's like, okay, like, he's a cheater, right? But now we're getting to this pile-on thing to where we don't have substantiated evidence and people are starting to swirl rumors in terms of him being a abuser of women.
Okay.
Like, what is your thoughts on that in terms of, where that line of demarcation should stand? Because now he's being excoriated at that point.
Okay, so I'm going to go on a tangent here. So you just said abusers of women. So I'm going to go on. Just hear me out for a minute. So
is
back in
Deshaun Watson.
the 70s, maybe the 80s, the U.S. federal government took a guy named Larry Flint to jail. So took him to court. Excuse me. So Larry Flint is the owner, publisher of Hustler pornography magazine or porno magazine, whatever. So in the trial, there was a very famous line that was said by the judge. The judge says, so Larry Flint and his lawyers were trying to figure out, how to get him off. And they said, Judge, you can't convict him because there's, pornography is very nebulous. It's not really defined. Mm-hmm. So what is pornography? And the judge said a very famous line. The judge said, I can't define what pornography is, but I know it when I see it.
Yes.
Now you just said like, how do we know that he's an abuser? I don't know the type of abuse that he did to his wife, but I know it when I see it. Something is off. Like I look at I forget what her name is, but I look at her sitting there. I look at him holding her hand. It just like everything seems off about that relationship. So I think it's when the wife came into the picture, I said, no more. Like I said, no more. Like something's wrong. No more. And like, I've got no proof. I've got no nothing. I can't define the abuse, but I feel deep down in my heart that it's there. So
he is 100% an abuser. And again, we're not just
and I mean
talking about physical.
Like,
right,
I don't know
exactly.
physically.
We're not just talking about physical
I'm
abuse, but mental. He is a textbook narcissist.
Yeah.
He's a narcissist. Even the way they were sitting together, it was so uneasy. It was so hard to watch her sitting there. And the way he just like commanded like the lead, he was holding her hand and even placing his hand on top of their hand like this to say like, I'm in control. Like it was hard to watch that.
Well, and to Khadisha's point about religion in the church, it seemed that when she had her follow on, she was talking about the helmet of salvation in terms of her bonnet. Like, then you wonder if I took two schools of this. I was like, well, is it religion that's kind of immobilizing her? Or is it just a ruse to where they got together and said, hey, you know what? We're going to make some money and we're going to create the circus. It might have actually happened. Like Jay-Z and Beyonce created, they used their personal situation to make money off of it. Yeah, I did say it.
So what I think it's actually him using the shield of Christianity. So he's telling his wife, you can tell this sister believes in the Lord so much. I feel that he's telling like, okay, the Lord says you shall forgive. I had weakness. The devil was coming at me. Now I have the Lord. Like, I just feel that he is using God as a shield almost. And this textbook thing that people do when they get in trouble, use, the devil was coming at me. I couldn't resist, but now I found Jesus again, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I just, I hate it, but it's Playbook 101.
But it also, it goes back to the church too. And, even she said in the church, they tell you as a woman, this is your role, this is your duties. And it's almost like it's your fault if your man cheats on you.
But isn't that what Mormons were teaching
yes.
too? I mean, okay, granted, everything I know about Mormons and, the Church of Latter-day Saints is because of big love. And I'm fine. I'm fine with that because I thought it was compelling and it seemed realistic until it was really all the three houses.
Christ compels you?
No, but it's control. It's control with religion and acceptance, right? So
see, okay, so we weren't going to go there, but I want to go on a slight tangent. We are probably going to run over now.
Yeah.
Polyamory. Within the Black community is really taking off with the younger generation, younger than us. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that. When I'm doing my research on Clubhouse, there seems to be a lot of groups just in the feed, and I don't know why in my feed, but when I click into the group for research, podcast research, there seems to be where women are saying, I'm okay with him taking care of me, and I'm okay with him having multiple wives. And it's almost as if they feel like this is their entrepreneurial venture. Like this is them kind of, I'm a high value woman, but he can go and have another wife and I can take care of my business and as long as he pays the bills. Like it seemed that it's more accepting, not within our generation, but the younger generation. And I wonder if, the whole conversation about being a side piece if it's like, well,
Yeah.
from a financial standpoint,
Yep.
they're just looking at it as another LLC.
Well,
like
it's-
this dude, right?
It's part team settling, and it's part of like because I've looked further on that same post that I was telling you about, and one woman was quoting, it's 4 to women to 1 man, right? Like that's supposed to justify it all. So if you are buying into already the narrative that there are fewer men out there and you have scarce supply, then maybe part of the polyamory movement is you finding a way to live with the situation you think you're dealt with, and that you're going to have to settle either as a wife settling for someone cheating with your man, or as the side person settling to be somebody's occasional, like
As a
side
man,
chick.
would you like that?
This is
I'll
challenge.
answer first. I don't
Okay, go ahead.
like that. Like straight up, I don't like. I don't know. Maybe it's just like I'm old and not in the new generation, whatever. But I don't want 4 wives. Like I can barely deal with one. Like it's like
I think people get caught up on the whole glamorization of having multiple women, right? They're looking at it like through, social media, like, oh, I got this woman and this woman, and it's
Yeah.
But like, it goes back to like, even like Muslims, for example, they have multiple wives, but you have to be able to provide for each of those wives equally.
Yes.
Like there's rules and things that go along with it. It's not just a big
I don't
old
want to
orgy.
sound like Derrick Jaxn, like I'm holier than thou, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So that just doesn't. That doesn't. And then, okay, if you have 4 wives, can she have 4 men? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
I'm always for please let her have 4 men. Like
I'm way too greedy. See, I'm way too like
See,
that
I'm
would
greedy. I
never
can't
ever
See, but the
work
thing
for
about
me
it,
if
these
my
women-
girl had. It doesn't work for me. I couldn't.
But we've created, well, not we. Kevin Samuels has now created this culture of high value men to where they're saying, well, I'm a high value man, so I'm making 6 figures or whatever, so I can be able to take care of all of these individuals.
Is that what he says?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Okay.
And I really think anybody who hates women to that extent does not actually like women, as far as I'm concerned. That's a bridge too far in terms of the way he goes into women. But to your question, I think you reach a point where you realize with a person, you're not going to have everything that you want in the person. So you have to then say, hey, I don't have this in a person, but this person has this. Is this more important to me at this point? Right?
Yep.
Or you can go that route, or you can say, hey, well, I don't have this in this person. And then you can maybe have an open relationship where you say, hey, I'm going to go to concerts with this person, or I'm going to do this with this person. Or you're in a relationship or in a marriage to where, the sex is whatever, but you're good friends. You're so cool. You hang out and you want to be together and you want to spend that quality time, but it's not there. But you're like, well, do we want to spend time together? What's more important? So I think now it's shifting, personally.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to what you want and value in a relationship and what you define as your relationship, right? Not what society says a marriage or a relationship should look like. As long as you're being open, honest, and having that communication, y'all can do whatever you want to do, right? And I think that's the problem where he and his wife were at. Like, he was trying to do what he wanted to do. Again, not being open and honest about it, but then preaching against it. There's just so much in that situation.
So you're saying relationships you consider relationships to be fluid now, and the definition of relationships, as long as 2 people say,
It's whatever you and your partner agree on, right? I think too often with many different things in life, people are only trying to live by society's standards of what that should look like.
But coming full circle now to this, though, do you think that social media and Instagram then has created a construct of what a relationship should look like, or reinforce that, and then people try to fall into that mode?
Of course, that's why you see all the hashtag goals, like Beyonce and Jay-Z. Oh, they're goals. Goals for who?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not just that. I think social media has made it very easy to be, to have another partner. Like, look
yeah.
at Tinder. Look at, the other ones, fucking Cupid and
Yeah.
all the other ones. Look at even Instagram, just like sliding into someone's DM. So I think it's made it a lot easier as well.
You mean online
the access
dating?
to it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
online
yes.
dating
Yeah.
because you're not having to go out to like a club or to leave
Yeah.
your house to
It's a lot
actually
easier
arrange
Yeah.
access.
those.
Just, yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest. I don't think we can even completely define it as one thing because you can be on those dating sites and there's couples on there too.
Yep.
So it's becoming its own thing.
But
and
when
and
there's
then-
couples, I agree with Shalise. It's like they had communication.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
not
absolutely.
like Derrick Jaxn for I think they said 4 years was cheating on homegirl
sure
for
it's more
4
than
years.
that.
Longer
Like
than that,
But
I'm
how
sure.
much too is the woman just agreeing to it because she wants to keep her man and to keep him happy? Because I think we see that too.
yeah, yeah.
Like, for example, in those polyamory relationships, I look at how the women interplay with each other. If they're tight with each other, then maybe it is an actual 3-way relationship.
Yeah.
I think eventually power dynamics.
But
shift.
but I don't think we can speak to that.
Yeah, that's
You know
fair.
what I mean? Because a woman could be just as much into
Exactly.
the woman as she is into the guy. It could even alternate. She could
Yeah.
get along better with her sometimes than him. And so I'm saying that in a polyamory situation versus even like a sister wife situation where
Right,
there is
right,
an
right.
established hierarchy. I'm assuming there's an established hierarchy. You going in,
Yeah.
you know, as the second wife or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I got one last question for everyone. Is Derrick Jaxn done or does he survive this? Or do you guys think he's done?
I think he's going to go underground, but I think his popularity is going to spike, actually.
Spike, so you say he's good?
Yeah.
I think he's done.
I think he's done.
I
Done?
think he's done. Too many women are uncomfortable with her portrayal. I think she tanked him. I think that we're talking more about how she looked, how she appeared trapped, how she's spinning it, and I think that he can't change that narrative, right? Like we could,
Interesting.
you know. So I
Yeah.
think ultimately he's done because I think the brand. I don't think their brand recovers from that.
Yeah, I don't know how people listen to him after that.
Right.
I know. But funny enough, I have to say this last piece because, you know, as much as we want to say he's done, there were women that were attacking the wife, saying, well, look at what she's wearing. And I'm not surprised he cheated on her. Look, she
Right.
came on camera with a bonnet on her head and looking all homely.
Right.
Okay, I
right.
know she was looking home, but like when you see the pictures, she's really pretty. Like she's legit pretty
But
lady.
the reason
Like
why that irked me so bad to see people attacking her was like, where is his accountability?
Oh.
Right.
Why is it that, oh, well, she looked homely or she had a bonnet on, so it's like, yeah, I'm giving him a pass to cheat because I would cheat too if she looked like that.
Right,
But
right,
that's
right.
also the pick me that is promoting that narrative as well. Like the whole title of pick me is when they're attacking her, it's like pick me instead. Because I would have, you know, been there shining on camera. I would have been so glamorous you wouldn't have wanted to cheat. Right? And
I can't wait. till
also
we have a
her life
segment on
was
that
falling because she didn't seem like a social media person, right?
No.
Yeah.
And her life was falling apart. Like you got to cut her some slack, but I don't know. In like her Instagram pictures, I thought she was pretty. Like I thought she was really pretty actually.
It just boggles my mind because it goes to, again, and you could take this all the way back to like, you know, Jim Crow days and all of that stuff where it's like, especially Black women, we always have this weight and burden of we always have to look presentable. And while I don't disagree with that, it's important to look presentable, but we have to always take it to the next level. We have to look better than the next. There's all this weight on us to be better, right? And it's like, why are we okay with attacking each other for not looking a certain way?
Yep.
It's like we almost do not allow ourselves to have an off day, to just be comfortable, to look messy, because it's like, you can't go out like that, girl. Like, what's wrong with you?
I
You're
would
a
put
Black
someone
girl.
on
Like,
Instagram though because people don't go on. It's like people only put up their best pictures and their best videos on it. Like they don't
Yeah.
put themselves in. Like
Yeah.
not often do you put yourselves in bonnets and
I think
pajamas
it was
or
before,
whatever.
I would think it
homegirl
was like
wearing.
that before Instagram. But
Yeah?
I
It
hear
was.
what you're saying. It's magnified.
it's just, yeah, I was
now,
going to say it's magnified,
Yeah,
heightened.
for sure. All right. All right. Ooh.
Over?
There's so,
We-
there's so many branch off topics
So
from that.
much.
I think we might have to kill the Block C.
We could do an entire hour on that.
Literally.
All right, so a year later, versus. Now I'm gonna state for the record, and this is where I'm gonna moderate this, that I, in all of the versus battles, have watched one.
Which one?
Hang on. As much as I get pings of versus battles that are going on right now,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no. Jill Scott, Erykah Badu,
Yes. Yeah.
for me,
Yes.
was everything.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there. I was ready to cry. That it
Yeah.
was so amazing. Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to defer this to the floor in terms of versus. And, some people would say that I'm being on brand and contrarian to where I was actually watching Questo wreck a show, like when he was in the loft and when he was having his session going on in terms of music theory and going deep into his crates. So that for me was good. Other people was like, well, he was talking through the whole thing. I'm like, well, that's the point.
Yeah.
So anyway, Khadisha, I'm going to defer to you with this one. So to date, what has been your most favorite or your most memorable versus?
Okay. Favorite for how I felt is still Erykah and Jill. That was the all-woman Black Girl Magic Power out 2 hours. And the timing of that, particularly if you remember, it was, I think, pretty much the first versus post George Floyd. We were in need of healing.
Yes.
And
You're
so
right.
it was the two perfect people to do that. The first versus I fell in love with, though, was RZA versus DJ Premier. It was so good. I mean, because they were, it wasn't a competition.
Right,
They were
right.
praising each other, and despite the digital issues and sound issues, they could have gone all night, and I wanted them to. The best verses I don't want to end.
Okay.
Teddy
Listen.
and Baby, I was like, put a fork in it. You guys can't figure this out.
I just saw the memes, and
That's-
I can tell by the memes how bad they were.
Go.
And
Go ahead, Shalise.
I was just gonna say, and for me, like that's one of the reasons why this was also one of my favorites. So I kind of have two. Obviously, I love the Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. That
Yeah.
goes without saying. But for me, the Beanie versus Bounty, that considering they look at Jamaica as a third world country, we were the first verses to have no technical issues.
Yeah.
First verses to have both artists in the room performing together.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of firsts for that, and it was hype. It was nonstop, and it was to represent the islands. It was to represent Jamaica.
Right,
There was
right.
so many things going on with that verses, but also because I love West Coast rap, the Too Short and E40. I'm sorry, I loved it.
I didn't even know you were into
Wow.
West Coast rap.
Wow.
My favorite rapper is Tupac. Come on now,
Oh,
you
well,
know this.
You like that more than the Snoop one?
I love Snoop too. I love Snoop and I love DMX, but the Too Short and E40 is a vibe on his own, like his vernacular, and like that alone was just like, what?
Yeah.
So a couple things. So I thought the first one with no technical issues was actually Jill and Erykah, and that. So I'm not even an R&B guy, and that's my like. Trust me, I'm a hip hop head, but that was my favorite because I thought they did like. There were so many before them. Like for me, versus is like before Jill and Erykah and after.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
Right.
like, for
That's
me,
true.
that was technically, perfect.
Yeah.
The stories that they told
Oh, it was
were
beautiful.
perfect. It was like just the vibe, just love in the air
Yeah.
was perfect. So that's my favorite. Like, I liked RZA and Premier, but it was just RZA, get your shit together. It was just like you got to do a sound check or what. Like it was just terrible. So favorite Jill versus Erykah, and then for hip hop wise, Ghost versus Ray. I thought was
Yeah, it was
that
great.
was
It
fan
was
like
chef's kiss.
because those guys like
yeah.
when you see them not at the concerts now because they've really tightened up their concerts, but like a Ghost and Ray concert like 10 years ago, whatever. They could just go off talking for 20, 25 minutes and like you would just be standing there like, you love to listen to them talk, but it's just too much. So just to keep them on track like that and just play banger after banger after banger. That was my favorite hip hop one overall. Jill and Erica.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
100%.
and one of the things that really made me angry or sad is leading up to Jill and Erica, there was so much social media about who's best and this one's better. And I was like, time out. Like I'd said that to you, like, why are we doing this, right? Almost as if people needed that fuel for it.
But I think that was the pattern
Yeah.
up until that
Gotcha.
Exactly.
it stopped being a competition
Yeah.
by that point, because with
When it was just
Primo
love.
and RZA,
Yeah.
that was still a competition.
100%.
If
It
you
was.
were Team
100%.
Primo, people were scoring.
100%.
Right.
If
They
you
were.
watched
I
my
was.
Twitter,
I was.
they were like,
I
"Oh
was.
no, Primo
I was
wins
scoring.
that round."
I was
Like,
scoring.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
scoring
Sure.
until I got fed up with RZA's technical issues. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
But you know what? Why that is so frustrating and heartbreaking and amazing is we wanted it to work.
Yeah.
We could not give up on
Yeah.
that versus. It was
Yeah.
like, he's gonna get this right.
Yeah,
I
for real.
feel it.
Yeah, he just couldn't get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shalise, one that either disappointed you or you weren't expecting that exceeded your expectations.
Okay.
Is there one?
Yeah, there's a couple. Disappointed me, and I would say the Luda and Nelly one.
I didn't even watch it.
That disappointed me.
I thought you watched all of them.
No, there were certain ones that was
So
going
you
to be a
just send
hard.
them to me
Yeah.
and then you just check out.
It's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That disappointed me. There was a lot of technical issues, and I know there was weather. I guess there was a storm happening, so that played a part too. But it was just off, and I think that disappointed me. Also, and I don't know why I was disappointed with this one, but the French Montana and Tory Lanez one was horrible. Horrible, and I don't know why I was disappointed. It's to be expected.
I was just gonna say, by default,
Yeah.
who really wants to hear a beluga whale? Anyway,
Stop it. Stop it.
so everyone loves Marineland.
But
Marineland's
quickly,
still open.
the one that actually surprised me was T-Pain and Lil Jon.
Oh.
It surprised me because, I mean, I thought it was going to be okay, but it was way better than I thought it was going to be. Because I forgot, like, how many hits that Lil Jon had in that era.
Yeah.
It was hype. Like, it was hype.
Have you guys have heard T-Pain sing without autotune, right?
He can sing.
He's fantastic.
He can sing. And he was singing.
I
Did you
think
see
I
that
could.
one?
I haven't heard it, but I would
Yeah.
believe he could.
No,
He
he's
can sing.
honestly like he can sing. Like
He can sing.
There's a lot of
He
dudes.
strikes me as he probably sounds like Jazzy Faye. Like, remember Something for the People? He hit like the
No.
My Love is the Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I think of him without auto tune, I'm thinking of that,
that,
producer
yeah.
and that the male singer in that.
Yeah.
That's what I visualize with him. And then auto tune came. Biggest disappointment, I think, was the Jagged Edge versus whoever for me.
112. Yeah.
Versus whoever.
I don't even
Clearly,
remember
yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that was disappointing.
Like it was below underwhelming. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
But the one that surprised me was the Patti LaBelle and Gladys,
Really?
because I was surprised how much I loved it. It was the stuff I grew up on, and that was the stories.
Yeah.
Certain verses is just about the
Yeah,
jam,
anecdotal. Yeah.
and but who cares what Ashanti's thinking? But there were certain ones.
Ayo.
Well, I'm saying
I
in
care
terms
what
of
Ashanti
you want her
thinks.
stories.
See
You
her
want her
Instagram?
stories in the
Sure.
verses.
Yeah.
She got stories in the verses.
I'm okay with her reading stories to me.
Stop this.
I know. Please stop him.
Shout out Diarra.
Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight talking, and then when Dionne Warwick came out, like
Yeah, that was
like-
great.
Whose Twitter, by the way, is fire. If you're not
Oh, I
following her,
love-
please follow
Listen,
Dionne Warwick on
and she
Twitter.
just recently got Twitter, and she was like, "Listen, it is me," because we were like, "No, somebody must be tweeting for you." Like, she's like, "No, this is me. I'm throwing these shots." Okay?
Yeah. So, Jay, for you, what any that kind of disappointed you other than the RZA one, or exceeded your expectations?
Exceeded my expectations was Beanie vs. Bounty because leading up to it, like people knew, oh, this can be a disaster real quick with like, because you listen to some of their sound clashes, it gets intense, right?
Yeah.
So that could have, and it was all good. So probably exceeded that one. Disappointed, just the RZA Primo just because of the issues, and shout out to Timbaland and Swizz because they've really, it keeps on going up and on. They've really upping the game from where it started. But disappointment was just all the RZA just couldn't pull it together, and that was like I would love for them to do maybe next year a part 2, like
Yes.
you know, part 2.
I would love for them to revisit it in a month, like
Yeah,
or
yeah.
next,
Yeah.
the next lockdown,
Yeah.
because now they know better, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure RZA would love to, but then it comes down to they can't use anything they used before, and they have the libraries deep enough that they could, because I think that's why those two stood out. There was so much hip hop covered. When you have two artists, you're usually just getting their music. But with those two, you were getting like Mobb Deep. You were getting all the bangers. It was. I called that night a love letter to hip hop because it really was. Like, and that's why it's frustrating that he had those difficulties.
One more thing, I just thought of it when I said, just with the sound clashes, but the amount of issues that could have happened with the Gucci Jeezy, because that was like people got murdered, like
Literally.
that wasn't a fake hip hop beef. People
was real
died.
life.
Yep.
So and I think Gucci might have tried to bring in a little bit of those kind of vibes, and Jeezy was like,
He was on his
nope,
grown man. He was
nope,
like, mm-mm.
nope, not happening. So that just sprung into my head because that was a real beef. That wasn't hip hop beef. That was a real beef.
Yeah.
Brandy and Monica looked like it could have gone left a couple of times too.
I even forgot about that one.
Yeah.
The memes are awesome in that one.
But
my gosh.
because there were
Yeah.
certain comments made, and we're like, "Is Monica throwing shade?" Like
Monica, that's why they call her Gunica. Like, that's what she does.
I didn't even know that.
That's Monica's ready to at any given moment.
she's
like,
got a Glock 9 in her.
Listen,
she stays ready.
Monica is a
Really?
goon.
I didn't even know that.
Interesting. So, is the next one EWF and
the Isleys, right?
Isleys?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
I know. But I
think it's a good
look
one.
respect Earth, Wind, and Fire. But
Listen, Isley's. I got Isley's on that for sure.
Oh, winning?
Yeah.
Yes, because they have the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
no, because it's the Isley brothers.
No, because they have all. Come on, what new did the Earth, Wind, and Fire do
I
since
understand.
Let's Groove?
Yes,
so,
no, they have the 70s
I mean, even if you
and a
didn't
little bit
include
of the 80s.
the Isley's newer stuff, I still think they could take Earth, Wind, and Fire. If you
I
just
think if
kept
it
them
stopped
in.
at 83 or 85, I think they were neck and neck. I think they would give a fight. I do. But I think after, definitely, the Isleys had a really good later 80s and 90s. Like
they had
him
really good
They had
and
some good
Angela
stuff.
Wimbush and the stuff they were
Yes. Ooh.
producing. And like, if they just even went to the stuff they wrote for other people, I think
Yeah.
that, you see? So,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
But
Maurice White... If he hadn't split with Earth, Wind, and Fire, this could have been an entirely different discussion.
The Isleys were also brought into newer cult. Like, there's a lot of issues with Kells. I get it, but he brought them into the
He did.
newer generation.
Yeah.
he
did.
did, man.
Float On was before, wasn't it?
Float On was that was before the R. Kelly and Ronald
Right.
Isley
So
stuff.
he didn't touch he didn't produce Float On.
Who,
the
R.
remix.
R. Kelly?
Yeah.
But he did like.
No, they're talking about the Trap in the Closet and Down Low when they remixed.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
from that album. But I'm saying they were still doing well
They were
before
doing-
R.
before
Kelly.
R. Kelly, yeah, they
because
were.
that
I
remix
agree with
was
you.
with Puff Daddy and Bad Boy.
Yeah.
I loved that music.
I agree with
But
you.
yeah, I see what you're
just
saying. R.
feel
Kelly
like-
did introduce him to a whole different
yeah.
generation.
Mr. Biggs.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
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 Even the nickname,
exactly.
Mr. Biggs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should probably put our Kells as a topic too, but
No.
I'm not showing up.
No.
for that.
No.
You don't want it.
Anywho,
yeah, right along.
so
This is a good question.
yeah, so I'll start with you in terms of this one I don't know. Like I just thought of so many combinations.
Yeah.
So just
I've got two. So I've got an
just to
R&B
reset.
one, and I've
so to reset.
Yeah.
The next topic of discussion is, what would be the dream versus Dead or Alive rematch or match that we would want to see. So
I got two, I split mine into two. I split mine one R&B, one hip hop. So the R&B one, Rihanna versus Beyonce, is for R&B one. You don't think so? No one? I'm getting no faces. No one wants to see that?
I don't really think.
Why?
You know what? I do. I do because it'll be a battle of the Navy versus the Hive. And they've kind of sidestepped it, but the other side of me does not want to see black women fighting each other. And I feel like that's what that comes down to.
Why are we saying fight?
Because they are vicious with
They
each
got some
other.
tribes,
Listen,
man.
Those tribes
they're
they're
dug in.
rabid.
That Navy goes hard for Rihanna, and that beehive is. Listen, you cannot say anything bad
Nope.
about Beyonce without that beehive coming to attack you.
Yes, shout out Kyrie Pearl.
Listen, nobody
Kid Rock,
knows.
you remember when Kid,
I think
They
it would
went
be the
after
biggest
Kid Rock.
versus, easily the biggest versus of all time. Like,
yeah, well, just because Beyonce's on it and Rihanna, but like aside from that, if it was just like their music, it's like meh. I mean, personally, I'm not a Beyonce fan.
I think
but
their fans would kill it for
Neither
us.
am I.
Really?
think their fans would kill the experience.
Solange
I
for the
agree.
win.
okay,
Yeah,
so I
100%.
flamed out there. Next topic.
No, you didn't flame out. It's
what
your
works
thing.
for you.
It's
My-
your thing.
my
You
hip-hop.
shouldn't be looking for likes.
Nah.
Not for the likes,
Trust
man.
me, I get ain't no one liking me. So my hip hop one. So I think the question was dead or alive.
Yeah.
So I'm going dead. Tupac versus Big would be my dead or alive.
Biggie's gonna beat him again.
Okay, first of all, I need y'all to chill on that Biggie taking pot talk. Okay,
I'm surprised you didn't say anything about my Freddie Gibbs take last week, or you didn't listen to the podcast.
She didn't listen.
Yeah,
She would've
clearly,
said something.
because then she would
I
have
didn't
boxed me
hear
right between the
right.
ears.
I didn't hear all of it, but now that you said that, I'm going right back to listen to it. I'm gonna save up some heat for you on the next podcast, anyways.
So yeah, that's my hip hop.
I'll say it
is
again right
Pac
now.
versus Big.
Okay, because you really
Stop.
why though? Is it? And I'm asking because every Biggie birthday, every Tupac anniversary, it's always those two. So why do you want to see the battle? Is it because you've wondered who would win it, or is it? Do you want to settle something once and for all? Is that a bad question to ask?
I think for me, so it might go back to Jeezy Gucci. It was a real beef.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't fake. There was hatred. So maybe it's the asshole in me who just wants to see like, oh, Biggie crush him or Pac crush it. Like, you know, maybe it's something like that. But
Could I
that's-
challenge that?
Yeah, go ahead.
With all, like, I get it was a beef at the time, but
Yeah.
I feel like the documentaries, Biggie didn't hate him. So I feel like it was a one-sided beef that didn't need to be. You know what I mean? And I think maybe it's my 47-year-old self, though, versus my...
I don't think Bad Boy. I do not. I don't think Bad Boy had any love for Death Row.
none at all.
None.
No, but I'm talking about, but I'm talking about Big's relationship with Tupac. They were friends before
were
it
friends
became,
before
and
it
that's what
became-
I'm
Get
talking
pulled
about.
into the vortex.
They got
though.
pulled, and
They did, and it was more of
Yeah.
their camps that was hyping up the beef
Right.
more so than
But-
the two of them individually.
And I've not seen documentation of Biggie's animosity being returned the same. Not to the like we all saw how Biggie was like. I mean, how Tupac was like, "Fuck Biggie, fuck Death Row." I just
mean-
didn't think it was to the same level coming
But you
back.
know why though? When you believe in your heart that somebody shot you, or your camp, your people came after you to take your life, you're gonna have that kind of animosity, whether or not that person's saying it wasn't me or not. Like when you believe in your heart of hearts that you were trying to end my existence.
And
Is
I
this
get it.
Experiential? Or just,
I mean,
No, and I get that he felt that.
Don't
I'm
go
just saying,
LDW on me.
Biggie
Stop
didn't
it.
feel it in return.
Okay.
I think it's like because even the I got a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
His mom was saying like Biggie they. It just feels like we've got now repeated footage of them saying we never understood why he hated us. Like we had nothing to do with the shooting. So I just feel like that battle today. Yes, you'd have his anger. You'd have Tupac's anger, but I think Biggie would be like, "Okay, I'll deal with you, but I didn't earn that all of it because he still felt and stuck by it long after the guy's death that
I think more of it too was like even after he was shot, like Biggie came to the studio after to record, and it was like where was the love? Like your peeps were involved in a shooting that I was in, but you weren't there. Like you didn't reach out. Like I felt it was more of like a crushed brotherhood. It was like, yo, we were boys. Like you slept on my couch. Like
yeah.
how could you not be there for me after something like that? You didn't even call off your boys to say like, listen, don't touch him. Like that's my boy type of thing. It was like, it's like almost like you stood by
Let it
and let
happen.
it happen.
Yeah.
So, question: do we have to would it even be taught? Does the shootings and the violence even have to come into it, or what if they just went song for song for song? Because you
Right.
said it was so obvious how you said, "Oh, Big would crush him," and then Sha went, "No, and no." There's going to be a lot of
feel
there
like
would be a ton
I don't even
of
think
that.
you could go song. Their styles are just so different. Like for you to go song for song.
He's crushing him still. Sorry.
I
Yeah,
just
unfortunately
and I don't
have
and
to.
I don't hate Biggie. Like I love Biggie's
Yeah.
music. I don't hate him. But I don't know, to put them together, if you were literally just going song for song, the styles are just so different. I don't think it would
Okay,
match
so who
up.
would yours be?
Who would mine be? For R&B, I would say I want to see Chris Brown and Usher.
That's
No,
great.
because both of their catalogs
I agree.
I would watch it.
Both of their
Yeah.
catalogs are phenomenal.
You think Chris Brown has a bigger catalog than Usher?
Chris Brown's catalog is phenomenal.
It's deep.
It's deep. And so is Usher's. They both have bangers.
I go Usher.
They're both performers. They're both dancers. I would love to see a live thing with them, having them dance perform. That would be amazing.
And they've been on tracks together. I
Yeah.
think it would be a celebration.
That'd be amazing. My other one, a hip hop one, I would like to see J. Cole and Kendrick.
Well, I don't think that's going to end up being fair.
Why?
Why do you want J. Cole to get hurt like that?
Stop. Listen. I feel like you're just saying that because Kendrick has more popular songs.
No. What?
No,
I think he does have more popular.
He has
Kendrick-
more
Kendrick-
popular
he has more
songs,
popular
but
songs,
Kendrick-
but
I think Kendrick's flow is tighter.
No,
I
I don't
listen,
think
I'm
the
J.
flow
Cole
is tighter.
all the way, man.
No, I actually like
If you
J.
listen
Cole's
to-
style, but I
yeah.
do think Kendrick has the better library
if you
and the better
listen,
catalog.
I've
he does.
tried.
It's more popular. But if you
I
listen to
have
J. Cole's album
tried.
beginning to end,
I have tried.
Come on, there's no
Lord
denying
knows
that
I have
guy.
tried. Like
Really?
when my brother is hitting me up and saying you need to listen to this, I was like, yeah, it's something about him. I don't know.
no.
Maybe it's just me, but Kendrick is my number 3, so Tupac wouldn't even be in my 10.
I need
So-
you to stop, okay? Thanks.
I would actually agree. Something for a different day, but I would agree that Tupac's not in my top 10 MCs.
But this dude said Dilla last week wasn't even in his 10 in terms of producers.
no, he's not in my top 5.
I don't think Dylan would be in my 5
No.
Oh my
either.
God,
not.
I can't right now.
Discussion for another day.
Yeah,
But yeah. Yeah.
Dream match.
Dream match, actually for me it should have been Jay versus Snoop. I really feel that we've been robbed by not having Jay-Z versus Snoop.
Okay.
Because a lot when they were starting, one of the repeated questions, who could go against Jay?
Nas.
No.
Nas.
I don't.
Yeah.
I would
don't
put Nas and continue
Nas
that
is
ether
obvious,
and
Oh,
but I
jeez,
don't.
I
I
forgot
think
about that.
I think that after Ether, there's such a drop with Nas that that it's not fair.
But you
and
could
I
say
think
after
that
Doggy Style, there was Snoop. Snoop did have a couple.
he
hits,
has a
but,
couple,
like,
and I think
that
he had
featured
features
on.
Yeah, I was
coming
gonna say,
on.
he had more
yeah, it was
features.
more features.
And I think his features, because let's be honest,
Yeah.
Jay after Kingdom Come and really 444. After that, it was all features. What is
But that
Jay
was like a
done-
conscious effort. He did say I'm retiring. I'm not putting out no more albums.
And Snoop's gone through his reggae
Yeah.
phases and his different. I just think
We should have Snoop
library-
versus Snoop Lion.
I just think that
we might as well
that's-
bring out Eddie Murphy then.
It's an
His
East
dance hall
versus
versus
West.
party all the time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
and it's they hit the same decades,
Yeah.
and I just feel like it was really who could go against Jay, and to me it was only Snoop that has a library that could do it.
Yeah.
And then my dream one, Dad, is Prince versus, and I have not got the right person for Prince to go against.
Well, I knew you
Michael
were going to
Jackson?
drop Prince in there.
No.
No. One's an artist
I don't even
and
think
one's
that's
an
fair.
entertainer.
Yeah, it's not fair.
That's
Yeah.
like saying Erykah Badu versus Beyonce.
Yeah,
Like Beyonce's an entertainer.
I'd watch that.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
But who would you have Prince go against?
I don't even. Who could go against
You
Prince?
see, that's what I get.
Yeah,
stumped with.
nobody can
I
go
don't think
against
anybody
him.
could go
Like,
against
Oh, you know who would
Would
think
Michael
they
Jackson
could?
not crush Prince?
What are you
What?
talking about?
I'm not.
What are you talking
Okay,
about?
I need you to
No,
understand
I
something
think
here.
Michael
Even
would
if you
crush
put
Prince.
you got to take into consideration also. Prince is a songwriter, and he wrote for
Yeah.
even if
Yeah,
you
he's
added
an
all the songs
instrument
he
player,
wrote
yeah.
and the
The
But
man single-handedly created neo soul. I don't care what anybody says.
But here, it's been
Michael
done
Jackson
too.
created Thriller. Like,
I know.
Only thing he's created is Usher and Crew and Chris Brown.
come on.
No, but they're a viable product. That's a
entertainers.
viable
Yes, they're
entertainers,
entertainers, but they're not influencers. They
But-
haven't influenced music.
I don't think Chris Brown would win this battle.
No, but you know
Or
what?
Chris Brown. Sorry. I don't think Prince would win this battle.
I still remember back when I used to still club and I'd go to old school parties. They
Okay.
had
Oh.
Michael
They would-
versus Prince.
Yes.
I was there.
Scratch
Shooting
used to do
happened.
those
yes,
parties,
I was
yes.
at that
Used to go to
amnesia.
Cube
Okay,
at 6
it
p.m.
did
on
break up,
Sundays.
but up until that point, Michael
Yeah.
was winning. Like surprisingly, Michael was winning. But I
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I
it's
still give
hit
Prince the
versus
edge,
hit.
but I
If
mean,
you
I don't
go
think it would
hit-
be that far
If
off.
you go hit for hit, Michael wins.
No, I don't think he wins clear cut because there's a lot of
Really?
Michael songs I'm not in love with. I never liked you the way you make me feel. It's
Prince
trash.
had like 3 phases like the Beatles. Michael had 1 phase.
That's true.
Very
Like,
true.
That is true.
talk about
Michael had
reinventing
one
yourself.
phase
No.
that he tried to stretch 3 decades.
It's true. Now, if you said
Off
more
the Wall was better
popular
than
songs-
Thriller.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't agree.
No, Off the Wall was better.
Go check Off the Wall again, man.
Oh, Thriller was.
Thriller was a
Thriller
hit
was
machine
it.
and overproduced.
No. I'm not going to call
I wouldn't
it
say
that either.
overproduced.
No.
Okay.
It was
But I
a
do
part of
agree,
its
Off the Wall
time.
was-
Sure.
It was.
I'm not saying there wasn't bad songs on Thriller. I'm just saying Off the Wall is better.
When you look at Thriller, though, Thriller, like when you were a kid and that video came out for that song, Thriller, obviously, like that was an event.
Right. But
Well,
Jay,
Was Purple Rain an event?
Yes.
Are you
absolutely?
Excuse me?
I
I am
was-
personally offended.
I thought Thriller was a bigger event. Like
No.
No,
Purple
no,
Rain
no,
was
no,
actually
no,
a
no.
whole movie.
Listen.
No.
It was a whole movie. Thriller was
No,
a video,
man.
an extended video.
Yes.
But
I'm not gonna
Purple
deny.
Rain was a whole movie and a soundtrack and,
Maybe it's
nameless
just 'cause-
actresses getting pushed into the stratosphere with popularity.
maybe it's when I was a kid, like I love like Nightmare on Elm Street and rah, but I like Thriller for me was an all.
There's no taking
time
away what
14-minute
Thriller
video,
was.
John
Like, Thriller
Landis.
was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It set a precedence for videos.
People are still doing the dances now. Like,
Of course.
I did
who's
it in
doing
high
a
school.
Prince dance right now.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But you know what, though? I think, too, the differences between
he's not an
Off the Wall.
entertainer. What's wrong with you?
I just think Michael. If you went hit for hit, I think Michael takes him.
Oh, Lord.
I think if you're just looking at maybe popularity, then Michael maybe has more popular songs.
So I guess what's your definition of verses?
I
I
mean,
thought
yeah.
like
It is a battle of the hits.
it started
Yeah.
as Battle of Hits. Now
Right.
Yeah,
after
it's true.
like Jill and Erica. So this just to bring it back, Jill and Erica, like the way they talked about how the songs were created,
Yeah.
and what they were doing, and how they're like that was the demarcation point for me before Jill and Erica and after because they changed the whole game. But
Yeah.
before that, it was definitely. Okay, you play your hit, I'll play mine. People, I've sat there for RZA versus Primo, just tallying. Oh, yeah, 1 for RZA, 2 for RZA, 1 for Primo.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
think if you went hit for hit, I still say Michael wins.
Okay, so based on that criteria then, right? We were talking about more of the music influence,
Yeah.
right? And their influence and
Yeah, if you're just
the
doing, I
ripples
guess,
that have
that,
come out
then
from
maybe.
there. So mine is going to be super contrarian.
Oh, God.
If I'm being on brand.
Here we go.
So what I would love to see from an R&B standpoint, and you're going to appreciate half of this,
Okay.
Donny Hathaway versus Dwele. And I'm not even talking about the library. I'm just talking about the two
They're-
of them singing because their styles are so
Yeah.
similar. Because when I listen to Dwele, I
You know I
hear
love me
Donny.
some Dwele.
Right? So that would be mine.
Yeah.
From a hip hop perspective, because I'm such a big Tribe fan, I would want to see Little Brother versus Slum Village. Like, personally, right? Similar styles,
Okay, yeah.
but that's what I'd like to see.
not crazy,
in
yeah.
terms of mine. Guys, it's been an hour already.
Really?
Can I ask one question? Who would your rock and roll verses be?
Oh my God.
And like I'm not like I so just while you guys think about it, so I would love to see
got
like
one.
hit
Oh, I know
for
whose
hit,
this is.
hit for hit. Like
wanna
I like the where I grew up. Like I would love to see Metallica versus Guns N' Roses, hit for hit. That would be mine.
Metallica and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, versus Guns N' Roses.
Do you want me to tell you what yours is going to be?
I'm dying to hear what you think mine is going to be. I feel like, what is it, Ciara and Thingham on Valentine's Day.
It's Stones versus Beatles, because you'd want to settle that once and for all.
First of all, young lady.
I know you're going to say Beatles win.
No, but the Stones, they aren't even in the pantheon of, it would be Led Zeppelin versus Beatles, not the Stones. Stones is overrated like the Who.
So it would be somebody versus the Beatles.
Gotcha.
So I had it half right?
No.
I did not? Okay.
For me, it would be Pixies versus Interpol. And I know that is,
That's punk.
no, who's punk?
Isn't that punk rock?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But it'd be Pixies Interpol. You
Okay.
asked me, I had to go off the beaten path.
You? Anything?
I don't
Rock?
know who the
Okay.
Pixies are.
Me
Oh,
neither.
for rock, I'd like to see a Blue-Eyed Soul kind of showdown, maybe like a Hall and Oates versus
Not Lisa Stansfield versus like
Sheena Easton. No,
for Blue Eyed Soul, Amy Winehouse versus Lisa Stansfield. I don't know.
Oh,
Tara
gosh.
Kemp
I don't-
versus Lisa Stansfield.
Tara Kemp's a one-hit wonder who I saw in concert in 1990, summer '91, only because she was the opener.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Duran Duran versus somebody.
Culture Club.
I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. I could do a Duran Duran versus Culture Club.
Okay.
I do like Guns N' Roses, but I would maybe do a Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith.
Okay.
I'd probably do that.
Okay.
All right.
See that?
Cool.
Nobody's doing a U2 versus?
We can do old U2 versus new U2, pre Unforgettable Fire and after Unforgettable Fire, maybe down the middle in terms of Joshua Tree, but now we're getting really deep. So guys, thank you. This was absolutely cool. I mean, usually I have 3 blocks for this, but we only had 2 blocks.
And not enough
so,
time.
yeah, I know. Jay, you're like, we're going to run over. So this was great. I hope to see you all back here. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had
It was
some fun.
definitely.
And for another week, signing off.
Tell these guys to like, subscribe, get it popping, bro.
Yes. Like
and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
slay
and
it with
subscribe.
flowers.
Yes. And 1990 Studios, our home. Daps to Chris, a.k.a. Jamie. Doing a great job, buddy. All right. So
Go
for
Bills.
Oh, boy.
Go Steelers.
Oh, I forgot we do that. You want to do it in unison? 3, 2, 1. Go Eagles. Ha ha. All right. See you guys later for another week. Signing off.